Так, все добре, можна починати.
Дякую. I will do the presentation in English simply because my Ukrainian has never gone beyond a 6-year-old level. So English is the safer route here. So hello and welcome everyone to FAU's presentation. FAU is a university that is located in southern Germany. We have a very, very, very long name. We are called the Friedrich-Alexander-Universität. So we have two male founders actually. We were founded quite a while ago. And you can see on the picture is our main building. It is currently being renovated, so actually nobody's allowed in there, from what I know. But technically, this is what it looked like, and it was still uninhabited until a couple of weeks ago. We also have a beautiful park. We're located right in the city center, and the university itself is spread across very many different faculties, and they all focus on, our university motto on trying to make research accessible, to make it relevant to today's topics, and to really move knowledge forward, and to be the best and brightest university in Europe. So if you would like to come and study with us, then this is kind of also a better view of our location overall. So we are in kind of like central to southern Germany. We're about 2 hours away from Munich, 3 to 5 hours away from Berlin, depending on which train you take. And like you can see, very close to Czechia, to Switzerland, to Austria, to Italy, to France, to all of those big names in university and in research. And as I've mentioned before, we do have a lot of faculties here. We are split up between Erlangen and Nuremberg, which is indicated in our university name. Nuremberg is probably the slightly bigger and more famous city, just throughout history. And this is where we have the School of Business, Economics, and Society, and they do feature several study programs that are fully taught in English, that are very international, with a strong, like I said, international global focus. And we also have the Center for Teacher Education there in Nuremberg. So if this is one of the degrees you pursue, then you will likely kind of end up or be located in Nuremberg for your studies. And in Erlangen is the city that represents all 5 of our faculties. This is where you can find the Faculty of Medicine, for example, as well as the University Hospital that is attached to it. You can find the Faculty of Humanities. They also offer a lot of studies in, for example, like politics, human rights, in sports. They just kind of encompass a wide variety of subjects that don't fall specifically under any of the other 4 faculties. We do have the Faculty of Sciences here, which is represented by Patrick Stör, because he is head of international affairs there at the Faculty of Sciences. We will also talk about some study programs from the Faculty of Engineering today. And we also have the School of Law in Erlangen. The ones that will be probably most difficult to get into simply for paperwork reasons, so to speak, specifically for Ukrainian students, is probably the School of Law, School of Medicine, and the Center for Teacher Education, just because we do have a state exam system here in Germany, so it doesn't perfectly align. So it doesn't follow the bachelor and master's kind of rules that are widespread in Europe, so it's a little bit trickier. But all of the other study programs are absolutely open to you. You can join them pretty much anytime. And I myself, just because I forgot to introduce the 2 of us in the beginning, I myself work for the international office. I currently work with students wanting to go abroad. So I'm more specialized in that field. And we do have an excellent team that works with students who are coming into Erlangen or to Nuremberg, who really try to give them a warm welcome here in those cities, to kind of take their hand, and accompany them during their first weeks here in Germany, because they can be quite challenging, just like in any country. To give you a better view of the 2 cities, Erlangen is, like I said, the smaller one. It is definitely most famous for institutions such as our university, or for example, the nearby like Siemens, Adidas, Puma works, for example. We do have all of the 5 faculties here, like I said before. And I think what makes Erlangen pretty unique in terms of the surrounding cities is that it really is a city kind of by students for students. And a lot of international students report that they feel very welcome and very safe here, that it's a very international kind of surrounding, because it really is like a quarter of the city is just students. So you will be right at home here. And in Nuremberg, it is more of an urban and international city, so to speak, with over 500,000 inhabitants. And it is mostly kind of like more for the regular citizen to live in. But we also, of course, do have 2 faculties there, a lot of student residential housing and stuff like that. Yeah, so you will equally be happy there. To give you some facts and figures about our university, you can see here that we have almost 40,000 students, with about a quarter of them being international students. We have over 270 degree programs, lots of professorships, lots of bachelor's and master's programs taught in English. So if you want to join us, then definitely come to FAU, because it is just a very nice kind of surrounding and relatively cheap, I would say, in comparison to other bigger cities like, for example, Munich, Berlin, where the rents are crazy high. Yeah, and just like I said, has good reviews by other international students. And I think next up are Patrick's slides on the Faculty of Sciences, and you can just click through them yourself if you want to.
Yeah, perfect. I guess we skipped just one. I'll just
Sorry.
go back. Okay, now we're both. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Patrick. I'm working at the Dean's Office of the Faculty of Sciences. Our science faculty, well, like most science faculties, or not most, but like a lot of science faculties around the world, we are covering all those basic sciences you know from school, from biology through chemistry, physics, geosciences, mathematics, and now I'm probably missing one, but we'll work up on that. And we do offer all these programs in German on the bachelor level, but I assume that you are more interested in hearing about our English language programs, which are mostly all of our masters, or nearly almost all of our masters. And you have a short overview here, and I'll go into a little bit more detail on the next slides, just to give you an impression. Our chemistry department is quite big, so we cover like all of the subdisciplines of chemistry. We concentrate a lot on, let's say, research in renewable materials, renewable energies, material science in general, as well as drug development, pharmaceuticals. You can choose in the master between your 2 main modules from the main directions of chemistry, quantum chemistry, computer chemistry being quite a new one, and then you supplement it with different electives. We have a more specialized program, which is called molecular science, where you can either go more into molecular nanoscience, which then, as said, is more into the material science direction, or you focus on life sciences and go more into drug discovery, molecular modeling, etc. Program where chemistry also does have a little bit of input, but which is more, let's say, shaped by biomathematics, biophysics, and biology, is integrated life sciences, which well caters to this new developing field of system biology, synthetic biology, which has a perspective on biology from a more quantitative perspective. But which covers like almost everything from single molecular analysis to complex biological systems. And we even have a penguin project with the researchers involved in this program, who are observing the behavior of penguins in Antarctica, as we can learn a lot from it about how organic systems work. It's a bit bit unexpected, but very, very, very interesting one. Also, what we do have here is some impact, for example, on plant sciences. We have a huge project here at the university, a 10 million euro project, which works on the cassava plant, on the manioc plant, and which basically wants to make these plants more resilient, more fruitful, and thereby, well, help to reduce the hunger in the world. More mathematics-based programs. We have data science at the intersection of statistics, mathematics, computer science. Very, very math-heavy program, so one should be aware of that. We have a master in computational and applied mathematics, which with specializations in modeling, in numerical analysis, and in simulation and optimization. Erlangen is a huge place for optimization, so we're really well known for this subdiscipline. Again, in physics, Erlangen is a hub here in Bavaria for quantum physics, for quantum technology research. We have a researcher here that is developing applications with Google for their newest quantum computer model. We're very big in the optical sciences. We do have the Max Planck Center. Max Planck Center, you could compare it to maybe the Academy of Sciences in your countries. And it's on the physics of light, so that we're very good in optical research here. We do have another Max Planck Center for the physics in life sciences, and we do also have like specializations in condensed matter physics, and very important here, the Erlangen Center for Astroparticle Physics. So also for astrophysics, we're quite an interesting place. And what I always like to mention about our physics department, they are always very highly ranked when it comes to student-professor interaction and the study conditions in general. Did I skip one? No. Then a little bit of a, let's say, very specialized program in paleobiology, which basically tries to establish models from the past to predict the future of our planet. Very interesting, very, let's say, very future-based and very like addressing the challenges we're facing right now here on our planet. Then similar, but methodologically and content-wise different. We have a Master in Climate and Environmental Sciences and Physical Geography, where you do climate research, where you can specialize on environmental analysis, soil science, dental ecology, etc., or geoinformatics. And last but not least, we have an elite master that is a master that was awarded elite status from our ministry here in Bavaria in integrated immunology, which combines both the lab part of immunology with the clinical part offered by the Faculty of Medicine. So it's a cooperation. I would also like to point out a few extracurriculars we offer here. I think Paulina has not mentioned it yet, but we're kind of like innovation, entrepreneurship is a big topic here at FAU. And therefore, we also want to introduce our students to methods, to generally the whole startup culture, to the processes of how to turn your research, your idea into a product, and how to make a company out of that product. So therefore, we have a digital tech academy, which is offering different courses. The most complete one probably being the digital tech fellows program, with where you really work in interdisciplinary teams, where you meet a lot of people from industry, which can give you a lot of advice. This is always highly recommended by our students who go through it. Then there are different smaller workshops, and of course you also have the chance to participate in a lot of different student competitions, be it in molecular biology, be it in building your own race car together with other students, being in the Robo Football World Cup or similar. Exactly. And I guess, do I pass the word back or do I talk about the Faculty of Engineering?
Whatever you prefer. I didn't
Um,
want to spring it on you, so I can talk about it, but you can talk about it too if you want to.
Okay, then
But,
I'll add a few sentences on our Faculty of Engineering, which is our largest faculty here. I also say the one with the best reputation. We are one of the few universities that is not a technical universities that can regularly compare with the important technical universities here in Germany when it comes to third-party funding, when it comes to citations in the field, when it comes to also like attracting students from abroad. I'll just highlight a few programs because I mean, here we indeed do also offer bachelors in English at the Faculty of Engineering. Erlangen is a very important center, or where we usually ranked as one of the best 2 universities in the field of information and communication technology here in Germany. So if that's something that interests you, where you also have this influence of quantum research now, this is definitely, and we're definitely one of the places to go in Germany. Oh, I see it's offered in German. Oh, I was mistaken.
on the next
This one is not in English,
it's
but the
English.
master is in English. Yeah. So these are programs offered in German. In English, exactly. You have the Master of Science in Communications and Multimedia Information Engineering, as well as Information and Communication Technology. And here you do also have English language bachelor's in clean energy processes, which is, of course, again, challenging or addressing the environmental challenge, the climate challenge we are facing. You have a bachelor and master in artificial intelligence. Once again, you have the optical, the topic of optical technologies, where Erlangen is a hub in Germany. Material science, advanced materials and processes. A very, very interesting program here in Erlangen is the Master in Medical Engineering, especially as we have a focus on medical imaging. So if you come, for example, with a computer science background, this could be interesting for you, because yeah, these medical optical technologies grow more and more important. Then there's, of course, a Master in Material Sciences, and Germany being a car industry country, we also do have a Master in Electromobility. The one that is not mentioned here, is there one in Autonomous Technology?
Yeah,
Yeah,
in the
Autonomy
middle.
Technology. Yeah, this is basically robotics, as you might call it in other places. And here also we have a Bachelor and Master in English. Yeah, a little bit more details on some of the programs that do have a bachelor and master in English clean energy processes. As I said, it's about creating climate-friendly energy. It's offered by our Department of, I think, Chemical and Biological Engineering, right?
Yeah.
So you have these hydrogen processes, chemical processes that are in the focus here. We do also have, I already mentioned this medical engineering, bachelor and master. The medical image and data processing is obviously big. Then they also have like medical robotics, which is offered in English, and data analytics and entrepreneurship in this field. Yeah, and also the surrounding here. So if you're looking for internships and everything, there's a very interesting landscape around Erlangen when it comes to, or like a economical landscape when it comes to medical engineering. Also very interesting if you're in this robotics field, like developing prostheses. And so I had the pleasure to test one. I mean, I don't need a prosthesis, but I was like testing it in the lab and how it works and so on. Is very fascinating. I can't judge it from an engineering point of view, but like even just seeing how these things are developed, super interesting. And then I also mentioned robotics with the 4 different areas of specialization: human system interfaces, networking and collaboration, planning and control, sensing and perception. Yeah, I mean, robots will play a huge role in the future. Automation will play a huge role in the future. I think there's nothing wrong with delving into that field, and it will definitely provide good job chances. I'm still convinced of that. Yeah, and then artificial intelligence. Okay, this is basically a topic everywhere. So building models and yeah, training AI is what you'll do a lot in this program. Okay, I'll pass the word back for the School of Business, Economics and Society.
Yes. So if you would like to delve into more kind of like social or economy topics, you can go to Nuremberg, where they have a full kind of sub-faculty that specializes in all of that. They have several programs to study in German and in English, and there are several that are taught fully in English. I think the most prominent ones are basically the international business studies and the international economic studies. There are also other ones, like I see the ones that are listed on the slide, like for example, information systems, that focuses more on the IT kind of aspect. But the other two, the previous two that are taught fully in English with the international in the name, they, for example, even demand that you go abroad for 1 semester at least during your studies to really kind of soak up that global attitude, to do, for example, an Erasmus stay abroad or just some other kind of experience abroad to really kind of combine it with your theoretical knowledge. And you can see some of the specializations of the masters, for example. So the international business studies and the international, so the international business studies, it has a bachelor and a master's degree attached to it. And it focuses on kind of what you would want to know, to study, to experience in order to work in management roles later on. And like I said before, it does require you to go abroad. And the Master International Information Systems, also like mentioned on the previous slide, it is more related to IT, to information technology, and to basically kind of managing, building, accessing, reading database systems, with a focus on software engineering and such. And last but not least, there is the Master of Economics, which is the last master's program that is fully taught in English, which, as you can see on the slide, focuses on intensive knowledge about economics. And there are different specializations that are possible, like labor economics, public economics, energy markets, and so on and so forth. So basically, this sub-faculty is what I would like to call it, because the full faculty is the Faculty of Business, Economics and Law, with the law part being in Erlangen and the business, economics and society part being located in Nuremberg. And so they do focus on all of that. And then they also focus on just like general kind of more societal questions linked to the business studies as well. And this is it for now regarding our like in-depth look into study programs. Patrick mentioned before that, for example, for medical engineering, you're in a great spot to do an internship, for example. And you can see that there are very many companies around that are offering either internships or kind of a research position maybe for your thesis or whatever you're looking into, or just, you know, even having a side job, for example. Obviously, you know, Siemens, BASF, Bayer will be very prominent in that field. And if you're looking into the engineering section, again, they have a lot of like Audi, Bosch, BMW, Porsche, all of that. We also have, for those business lovers, I know a lot of them work at Adidas and at Puma, for example, or at Datev even. So we have a lot of great partners here in the area. And if you would like to work with them, I'm just going to skip one slide because I think it will be a little bit more interesting. We do have several student services available for you at FAU, which are which come free after you have paid your semester fee. The semester fee is just one, what do you call it, like an organizational fee, so to speak. It is something that everybody pays. I think it's currently either at 67 or 72 euros per semester. So it's pretty low, and it basically allows you to access different kinds of student services, such as, for example, the services of the Career Center, which has classes for international applicants as well. So yeah, they basically teach you in seminars how to apply for the job market in Germany, what it's like, what it is like specifically in this area, and they give you interview training and stuff like that. And in terms of your other student services, for example, you do get access to, I don't know, to cafeteria, to psychological counseling, to all of the services from the international office. Hi. And which is, for example, the buddy program, where we link you or hook you up with 2 or 3 German, quote unquote, students or international students who have just been here for a while already. And they will kind of become your buddies, take you around, help you explain how to sign up for classes, how to, I don't know, pay a certain fee, how to get a certain public transportation ticket cheaper, stuff like that. And we also offer welcome services. So for example, when you start at university, towards the beginning of the semester, we usually have a welcome week or a couple of welcome events. Some take place online, some take place in person, but it's basically a great way to kind of learn about the paperwork that you need to complete both at FAU and just in terms of like the city and Germany in general, in order to have a good start here, and also obviously give you a little bit of socializing, set you up with a few friends maybe. And you also have access, for example, to free language courses from our FAU Language Center. And as of now, we do not have any tuition fees for international students, but we do have application fees, as I've recently found out. The application fees are, I have the website open, at 100 euros per application. But like I said before, there are still no tuition fees involved. And the only thing you pay is basically the application fee of 100 euro and then 72 euro per semester. It can change slightly, but it's usually like a 5 or 10 euro difference every semester, so it's not going to break your neck. Yeah, I think that is most of all. And if you would like to apply, yep, it's loading. Then for bachelor's programs, you can usually apply until the 15th of July or 15th of January. And for the master's programs, they follow a more individual schedule. So you might want to check out the websites if they don't follow the same structure. And there is also a link to all of the FAU degree programs, and the website works really, really great because you can filter down by language knowledge, by whether you want to start studying in the winter or in the summer term, if you want to study mostly in Erlangen or mostly in Nuremberg. So it's a really great website that I definitely recommend to you guys. And that is it in terms of our presentation. And if you have any questions, I can already see there's a lot of questions in the chat. So I think we will move over to there. I just need to find where I can publish questions. No, I can only find them. Ah, thank you. I don't know who it was, but thank you so much.
So it was me, sorry.
Awesome. Awesome. No, thank you. That was perfect. Patrick, do you know the answer to this one?
I mean, you have to see, we do not have a special department for medical engineering. So the medical engineering program, it has influences of all the different engineering subdisciplines. And so there is a branch or a specialization that focuses more on medical software, while there are others who is more focused on hardware, as I said, building prostheses, etc., such stuff, or also like building something like like MRTs and stuff, and developing these things further. So there are both components there.
Sorry, I need to be like really close. I'm just gonna publish the next one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I think the internet is slow because I just, there we go.
What kind of access do biology students have to the botanical garden? Well, to be honest, I'm not super sure about that. I mean, we're not exactly doing a lot of flora studies anymore. I mean, but most of the things that are done are more on a, let's say, microbiology, molecular biology level. So I guess our students do not really do a lot of research in the field of like just observing plants or so. But I'm sure that if there is any research interest, you can access it. I mean, and if it comes to specialized research centers, I mean, each chair in itself is a specialized research centers. And what we do, of course, is like from very early on, especially in the lab sciences, you are trained to work in a lab, and then it's totally usual for you to work during your bachelor and master thesis in the lab, to be part of the team, more or less. Yeah, so to work with our researchers and scientists. There is no real, let's say, distinction or separation between what you do like in your thesis, in your research projects, etc., and what is like the real research our scientists do. It's not, I mean, research and teaching are very much intertwined here. That's what I would say to answer this question.
Okay, moving on to the next one. Other practical modules for media and communication students, such as video production or journalism. I don't know in depth. If you know, Patrick, then go for it. But
I mean, if you're referring to this media and communication engineering, then there is for sure nothing like content production, such as video production or journalism. This is a purely engineering perspectives on the topics. We do also have like a master at the Faculty of Humanities in probably media science or communication science, and there for sure this would play a role. But if it comes to content creation, not at the Faculty of Science, not at the Faculty of Engineering, if you are referring to that.
Yeah. Yes, so like Patrick said, on the Faculty of Engineering, they focus more on kind of like the technical stuff, so to speak. But at the Faculty of Humanities, we do actually have a media and communications program, both on like a bachelor's and a master's level specifically. So if there's classes on really like how to get a camera angle, how to tell a story, how to evoke a certain feeling from a certain frame, then that's definitely more where I would lean into the humanities. So if you just Google FAU and then PHIL and then something with media communications, you will definitely find the study program there. Does the university offer German language courses alongside the degree? Yes. So depending on the degree, you might need a certain German level to be able to get accepted into the study program. But once you study anything, here at FAU, you have access to German language courses. The only difficulty that I know of is a lot of students come here with zero German language knowledge, and then all like 20,000 of them try to sign up for the like 3 German classes on the A level. And obviously that doesn't work out. So what would be really helpful is if you know some German, like maybe you're on a A2 level, for example, and then trying to get into a B1 German class is a lot easier than trying to get into an A1 German class. So that's the one tip that I can give you, but we do offer free classes. It's just the availability is a little bit difficult because there's a lot of spaces in the B and C level German classes and very, very little space in the A level classes just because there's so many people that are interested in it. Okay, what would be the next question? I'm just going to do this one. Can I apply if I haven't received my final diploma yet? The answer is yes. Usually you can apply. It's just that once we get to the application and ask for the diploma, you should be able to provide it within a certain time frame. I know like this does not refer to Ukrainian students, but I know we have students from Pakistan, for example, who regularly apply for a master's program, but it takes the Pakistani universities like 2 years to give them their bachelor's diploma. And that's where they run into problems.
Yeah.
But if it's just like a couple of weeks, then that's totally fine.
Yeah, we need the final diploma, the original certificate, at least a year after you started studying. So, and this is for some universities in the world seems to be a problem. I don't know why, but yeah.
Am I answering questions in the wrong order? Yeah, I
we're
think I need to
probably
go from the bottom then to the
we're
top,
going
right?
bottom up instead of top down,
Okay.
but we have enough time to answer all of them, I'd say.
Okay. I'm
So
just gonna try to do them chronologically. The next question is, what are specific language requirements for German taught programs? So most of them require at least like usually B1 or B2. But just check the website really.
No. Sorry,
No?
Paulina, C1, C2.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, just check the websites basically because it does differ a little bit.
Yeah, but usually you need the DSH2, right?
Yeah.
Which is comparable to test stuff with like, I think, only test stuff 4 throughout the whole, all the different tests, hearing, speaking, writing. And I think one 3-pointer is allowed or so.
Okay, the next question is it working? Yes. Does FAU require a Vorprüfungsdokumentation via UniAssist before applying directly? I believe not, because we don't use UniAssist, so you just apply directly through FAU's platform named Campo. And I believe that's that.
I mean, there are, of course, depending on the program, there might be admission tests or similar, but yeah. Did we just stop sharing?
Yeah, I lost the last question. Hold on.
Yeah,
I will
that
find
question
it.
was, are there any entrance
There we go.
examinations
Yep.
or interviews for international students? That really depends on the program. Some just decide based on paper. Some have an admission test, others have interviews, but they're never specific for international students, but for all applicants.
The next question is, how difficult is it to find a place in the student dormitory? And unfortunately, just to be realistic with you, it is very difficult. And chances are very high that you will have to look on the private market for accommodation, just because it isn't like obviously as bad as, for example, Munich, because Munich, every time I hear Munich, it's like a horror story. It's a beautiful city, but the accommodation situation is very tough there and very expensive. Erlangen is more affordable, but it is a small town. And we just don't have enough dormitory spaces, because in Germany, like a university is not like obligated to provide dormitories for all of their students. So basically, we accept students disregarding of how much space there actually is in the city, unfortunately. So it is very possible to find accommodation, but it might take some time, and it will definitely be a little bit higher than your budget, because some students come here and they think, okay, 200, 300 euros is going to pay for it, when realistically it should be like around the 600 euro mark, just from personal experience. So try to plan ahead, and what you can do is you can write an email to accommodation@fau.de, and they can send you some tips on how to find accommodation in the area, because the university doesn't have student dormitories themselves. Studentenberg has some, but just not enough for 40,000 students. So apply for the Studentenberg and send an email to accommodation@fau.de, and they can provide you with some tips on how to look, like what kind of scams there are, what to look out for. They can give you some lists of some, I don't know, serious landlords, for example, that they've had good experiences in the past, etc. The next question is, does FAU offer programs that combine natural sciences with law, for example, courses for specialists who want to work in environmental law? Ooh.
I don't think so. I mean, this would obviously, I mean, your case would obviously be offered by the Faculty of Law, which I'm not part of, but I've never heard of such a program here at FAU, and to my knowledge, it does not exist.
I think
But it's a good idea,
interesting.
to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I think maybe the closest thing is if you actually study law with like a focus on environmental law, or
Yeah.
if you do something like the human rights program at the Faculty of Humanities, which probably also looks into environmental law, into like, I don't know, fracking,
Yeah.
into, I don't know, whatever we're doing to Africa, to former colonies, whatever.
But
Yeah, but
I
there's
think
no,
generally that this kind of specialization in Germany often happens outside university. That it's just part of special programs that are quite expensive and often paid by how to say, law firms to train their employees. I think this is more often the case than finding something like that at the university.
okay, the next question is quite long. I will take some time to read it. If a student applies directly after secondary school, they must attend a Studienkolleg. This is true. And as I understand it, German language courses, including academic vocabulary, are part of the curriculum. Does it mean that B2 until C1 level of German is required to successfully complete Studienkolleg? In that case, what is the purpose of English taught bachelor's programs? Thank you for your clarification. I need to read it again, sorry.
I can answer it if you want.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, I'm not an expert for the Studienkolleg, but you will definitely have to, let's say, you have to pass a German exam in it, and that is comparable to our Abitur. So yes, C1 English is probably required, B2 to C1 at least. Sorry, German. Why do we still have English taught bachelor programs? Because, for example, each and every European Union student does not need to have or does not need to attend the Studienkolleg. So there are 27 countries around us that can just join a bachelor program. And this also applies to students from some other parts of the world. This mainly caters to students who can enter the bachelor program directly, but I think also Ukrainian students, for example, I think you need 2 years of studying at home.
Mhm.
And then you can just enter any bachelor program here without the Studienkolleg.
Yes.
If
Thank
you have
you.
proof that you attended university for 2 years at home.
Okay, the next questions. What are the benefits in German? I think we would like clarification on what the question means. Unless Patrick, you know what it means.
Sorry, now
Maybe just write like an explanation to the question.
Yeah.
Thank you. Does the university provide assistance with finding private accommodation? Yes and no. So we won't kind of like hold your hand and go to the appointments, but if you send us an email, like the one that I said before, the accommodation@fau.de, they will give you some general tips on, like I said before, on some good dormitories, on some, I don't know, public housing, on some landlords that they found very trustworthy and also like financially a good option for students. And also what you can do, for example, if you, I don't know, have an exchange with a landlord and you're unsure whether you should send them this document or not, whether you should already send them some money or not, they can help you kind of review the case and tell you, hey, this is legit, this is a normal practice in Germany, versus no, you're currently being scammed. So there is no hand-holding as such, but they will give you tips, websites, and things to look out for before you sign a rental contract. So there is help in that sense. There's another long question. We are currently residing in Poland under temporary protection status and are planning to begin studies at FAU. If an applicant relocates from Poland to Germany, is it necessary to cancel the Polish status beforehand, or is it done automatically? That, unfortunately, I do not know. You can send an email to, I will put it in the chat. Send an email to welcome-students@fau.de, and my colleagues will look into it, because this has more to do with like international travel law rather than anything specific to our university. So send them an email and they can help you with that. If a student completes a technical or research-oriented program and plans to stay in Germany, does FAU assist with the transition to a blue card? Is there an internal office or advisor who supports students during this progress? Again, yes and no. We give general advice under the same email address that I just posted in the chat, the welcome-students.de. There's two of my colleagues which will give you all of the information regarding how to transfer from a student visa to a residence permit for working, for work status. The blue card is a little bit tricky to get, so the usual process is not transferring to a blue card, but rather transferring from your study residence permit to a work-related residence permit. And they will definitely give you information on how to do that. So once again, once you're in that stage or about to finish your bachelor's degree or master's degree or whatever, definitely send them an email. They will give you the general information on how to transfer from one residence permit to another. The next question is, are interdisciplinary courses available at FAU that combine technology and humanities? Could you provide a few examples?
Well, do you want to
You go
start,
ahead.
Polina?
No, go ahead.
Well, we have a Master in Digital Humanities, which then combines research on our, let's say, methods of computer science and artificial intelligence and the humanities, basically. So Master in Digital Humanities, also Bachelor. I would say, I mean, you have combining technology and the humanities. Our physical geography master, I mean, geography is about the interaction of, I mean, it's about a lot of things, but it's also about the interaction of humans with nature and space. You have very, let's say, it is very technical. I mean, for example, if you're doing climate research, that has a lot to do with physics, that has a lot to do with using different technologies. You're working with geoinformation systems. You also do that in cultural geography, by the way. You're using satellite imagery. You're learning, so you're learning a lot of methodological stuff. And I mean, I mean, you're basically doing that because it's interesting for societies, etc. So you're basically combining these two factors to a certain degree. But apart from that, I'd say when it comes to engineering subjects, they are still very caught up in their own, let's say, research environment. So we do not really have another program that combines the two, I'd say.
It's funny, I did look into whether I want to study digital humanities as a master's at some point while working at FAU because I only have a bachelor's. So that was my 2 cents. Because we do actually have a question that is directed at me, but I think Patrick would be much better at answering it because I actually didn't study at FAU. I just live and work here, but Patrick did study here in the Faculty
I
of
did indeed
Humanities.
study here. It was one of the few universities that offered my subject. I'm very much interested until today in the Middle East, and I studied political science with a focus on the Middle East here. So Erlangen is kind of a little hub for research on the Middle East. But why would I choose FAU today? I mean, that's a more interesting question because when I chose FAU, you chose because there was a paper that was listing different study programs, and then you went on the internet and tried to get some information when there was any. I think what is very interesting is this entrepreneurial focus. It is indeed. I mean, I don't know if the age of big corporations is already over, but I think it's very important to learn how to think like an entrepreneur. I think FAU has a strong focus on, let's say, as good industry relations, which is an important thing. We try to encourage our researchers to make their research impactful. I have the pleasure of working with a lot of intelligent people each and every day, and a lot of them are great people too. So just from that point of view, I think Erlangen is a really nice place because we're a large university. There is a lot you have a very very lively scientific environment. You can go into different perspectives, different directions. You can just go and hear a lecture from a very different field. And still, Erlangen as a city is quite small. It has a little bit of a familiar vibe here. Yeah, it's like a little bit of a smaller atmosphere. Professors are approachable mainly. So I think that is a good thing. And then, of course, it depends on your interest. I mentioned from my faculty where we are strong at, where we are good, why we are a good place to go. If you're interested in those fields, I think FAU is not a bad choice. We're one of the top 15 research universities in Germany. We are still very well equipped compared to universities in other countries, as we are here in Bavaria. And Bavaria is, well, the richest state of all the 16 German states. And education or universities are mainly funded by the states, not by the federal government. So we're a good choice. It's a nice place to live. It's still comparatively cheap. It's a little bit, maybe it's a bit stereotypical German. So which I would not consider a bad thing if you come here from abroad, because you kind of, maybe you're also kind of looking a little bit for that things. Economy is still doing well around here. I mean, Polina already mentioned it, with Adidas, Puma, Siemens, Schaeffler. I mean, these are big companies, world market leaders in their fields. You have a lot of small and medium enterprises. So if you are also willing to learn German, there are a lot of companies that are looking for talent. I mean, generally, to be honest, right now the job market is a bit slow, but I mean, this can totally change in 2 or 3 years. So I would not worry too much about that. I mean, I did not grow up here, so I moved here. I like living here. I think the university has a lot to offer. Those would be my reasons.
Yeah, no, I grew up here and all of my friends studied here. I was actually the only person, like one of the few people that did not study here, just because I was very interested in learning several languages at once. And there was another Bavarian university that probably nobody has like their lookout for, but it was in Augsburg, and they were the only ones that combined studying 3 languages at once. They were the only university in the entire whole of Germany that did that. So that was my only reason. But I do like both Augsburg and Erlangen because I think they're both very like small and peaceful, but also close enough to the major hubs, such as Munich, for example, to really have a good time here. So yeah, come and study. There are a few questions regarding the VISO faculty, whether there are any networking events and what some study programs specialize in. I would just like to leave you with a link, just because we're coming close to the 12 o'clock mark. And there's a link to several colleagues that work at the VISO and that you can just ask regarding the specializations of the VISO faculty. I'm just gonna show one more question for Patrick, because I think that makes the most sense. Yeah, what are the specific features of the data science program at FAU? I don't know if there's specific features, but
yeah, I mean, very specific. It's in specificity. You basically have 3 core modules, which is now let me think. Mathematics of data, mathematics of data 2 basically, as well as deep learning. Yeah. So those are your 3 core modules. That's 30 ECTS. Then you have to choose a major and a minor, or you have to choose a major, and you can select. You don't have to choose a minor, but you can select from different courses, which have different specialization. One that is very popular with our students is AI and machine learning. And then you also have to choose an application field, which can be anything from humanities to chemistry to geography. So you're basically able to build your own program. That's a bit overwhelming for some students, but it's very well explained in the introductory sessions and so on, what you have to take care of, etc. It is really a program that you can tailor to your own needs, to your own interests. It is super popular, but yeah, I think it really caters to students that are independent, that are interested in the field, that do not just want to sit through a program and have their schedule served, such as in school. I think it's very innovative, and I would recommend doing it.
thank you, Patrick. I think I'm just gonna do the last 2 questions. One is if there's any events for international students. I will drop a link down below because, as I've said before, we do have 2 students working specifically with incoming international students, and they provide them with all kinds of information such as welcome week or welcome events. And one of them will be taking place in 4 days. Technically, you don't need to know that yet, but if you want to, if you're just curious, you can click on the link. It's on the 24th of February on Zoom, just to listen and see what we can offer you. And the last thing is a question regarding scholarships, and there is no scholarships specifically for students from Ukraine. And in general, the thing is, FAU does not take any tuition fees, which is great, but it also means that we cannot hand out scholarships usually. There are a few exceptions, and I can link you to the scholarship finder. So there is one scholarship that is offered by the international office by us in your last year of master's studies. And there is a link that I have to send you right now. It's just a scholarship finder for all kinds of organizations or like private institutions that offer scholarships. So you can definitely check out all of that. And you can also check out the website of the DAD. I think that's the link, dad.de, which is basically the German, what do you call it? German Academic something union.
Exchange service.
Thank you. And they basically provide students both coming to Germany and leaving Germany to go abroad with scholarships if they fall into certain criteria. Like, for example, if you're coming for research, or if you have very good grades, or if you have, I don't know, special, I don't know. So basically check out those two links in terms of scholarships, because FAU has very limited range, but there are offers from external partners that can help you with your stay in Germany. And in general, if you have any questions regarding your application, let me just find the link as well. There is hold on, it's not loading. There we go. So regarding your application, you can always email the student advice service, and if you have any questions, and if you have any questions regarding visa or any paperwork that you need to complete once you reach Germany, if you don't know what kind of, I don't know, health insurance to get, etc., you can come, so anything non-academic, then you can come to the international office, to my two colleagues, which I've also sent the email in the chat before, so like either this link or the welcome minded students at fau.de email address, and they can help you with all non-academic related questions, so just regarding Germany and like visa, health insurance, stuff like that. And I think that is it for today. Any final words, Patrick?
Sorry, could you repeat?
Any final words?
No. I was already thinking about my final words. No, I don't have any.
Okay.
I would love to welcome you here at FAU. Look into our websites, look around, look into the programs. I think, yeah, it's a good university. It's a nice place to live, and we have a lot of very dedicated and super nice researchers, teachers, and also a few people in administration who are quite nice.
Yeah, like the two of us. Thank you, Patrick, and thank you everyone for joining today. Thank you for your questions, and I hope to see you sometime next year. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Дякую всім, хто був на презентації. Дякую вам за змістовні відповіді на запитання і дуже добру презентацію. Так.